Don't. Don't. Please don't.
Are you ready to feel dead inside? Probably not the best way to start a video, is it? I just don't want to mislead you. The Walking Dead has had some pretty awesome games made over the years, ever since they made a really great first season and slowly but surely beat it to a barely recognizable pace with each consecutive one. Every now and again, it'd take a sharp inhale and let you know,
oh, I'm still here!
But mostly, it just ironically shambles around aimlessly like a zombie. Wait, sorry, I'm not allowed to say that word, am I?
I think Doug's not great around zombies.
Oh, cool, I can say it. I thought I might set off AMC's allergies. It's like a slur for those guys. How many names did they have to describe something that's dead anyway? Well, I've got at least 2 names myself. Survival Instincts and Destinies.
I hope you got your shitting pants on.
These aren't just bad games. They're so bad, they're bad. Survival Instincts is like the Birdemic of games. Destinies is a little bit closer to being like the Room of games. It had way more jank, but in a fun way. That is if you consider getting your head caved in by a baseball bat to be fun. But it still doesn't really touch the so bad they're good level of something like Deadly Premonition. To be fair on Destinies though, Survival Instincts set the bar so low it's further underground than the corpses trying to eat you in both games. One of the ever important rules when it comes to dealing with said corpses is the double tap. If you knock it down, pop an extra round. Little did we know that this franchise's presence in gaming was being subjected to the same fate. God, I feel like Logan Paul coming out here and making content from the dead like this. It just makes me feel dirty.
I know what kind of man you are.
Survival Instincts is an experience. Everything from the story to the dialogue is so abrupt. It kind of feels like Norman Reedus and Michael Rooker were the only ones who actually tried with the acting.
Finally, something useful in this hole.
Adapt and overcome, little D.
Oh, come on, man. I'm sure he's at least average D. Actually, on the topic of voice actors, Michael Rooker might not have actually known anything about the series or characters at all.
And he plays Daryl. And it's spelled D-E-R-L-E. It's not Daryl, it's Daryl. Please get that right.
That is behind the scenes for the game. I mean, look, he was with the show for a while. Was that him just getting his own character's name mixed up with Daryl? Was that him just being sarcastic and my sarcasm detector needs a fucking service? Or did he just get everyone's name wrong and think that others were named things like Reek, Sheen, Carol, or Coral?
Hell's his name?
Obviously hopes are high when one of the main stars doesn't know anything about his co-star's character's name. And then, of course, there's this thing staring at you right above the launch button.
You look ridiculous.
You start off hunting in the forest and good lord, the frames! Is that what we're hunting for here? Because I'd sure love to find them. After hunting the world's most trackable deer in any game, you go chasing after your friend's painful cries to find a group of walkers. Now you can fight them, but I didn't. Not because I knew it wouldn't matter, but because I wanted to see what it looked like to die in this game. Only to find out that this death is not only scripted, but also the most bitch-made way to die in a game outside of killing Constantine and Tomb Raider with a fucking empty can. Oh, damn, that was a stealth kill, too.
Maybe Daryl can sway me.
Only after dear old dad gets one too many pats on the back do we start playing as the big man himself. Also, hope you weren't planning on getting too attached to your companion here who gets his fate sealed real early on. Guess we just have to pretend we don't know what's coming later. Oh no, how could this happen? This was so unexpected.
That shit just breaks my heart.
Kind of amazing how a walker was so eager to bite him within the first second, whereas anytime you interact with them, they only want to make like the TSA and pat you down until you run out of alive juice. By the way, alive juice is not an exaggeration. You get your health back from Gatorade and MREs. Maybe if they just found a few bottles of Prime in the show, everyone could have survived with ease.
It tastes better than it looks. It looks like shit.
One of my favorite parts is that they only had enough budget for 2 lines for interactions like healing.
Oh man, I needed that. Not bad. Not bad.
Distractions in this game are about as effective as yelling fire during a zombie apocalypse. There's bigger things happening, no one really cares. Yet the moment one barely sees you, it'll obsess over you and follow you everywhere like he's frothing for an autograph. Also, I'm gonna stop calling them walkers from this point on because these motherfuckers clearly prefer a brisk jog at the very least.
My day just gets better and better, don't it?
When your health is low or you're surrounded, joggers will grapple you one by one like the most polite version of a crowd trying to get the shirt off a celebrity's back. Sometimes grappling means easy free lobotomies for an entire horde. Other times you wrestle until you get too tired and go night-night. Throughout this game, you run into survivors in different areas. They're so useless that you don't even get to interact with them beyond sending them away on a 50-50 chance mission that they'll gather resources or perish. The name of the game might be Survival Instincts, but these guys are just proof that that's false advertisement. And you can optionally give them a weapon based either on their preference or your own sense of humor. And that is as deep as your interaction with the survivors goes. 26% chance of survival? Sounds like a skill issue to me.
He's mine now.
At least in Telltale's The Walking Dead, the game gave every survivor a story and a personality that you could agree or clash with. Fuck you, Bonnie. And then it ripped a lot of them from you by surprise, so it actually hurt. Half the time, I never even had enough space in my cars and had to turn them away anyway. Now, you do, of course, find bigger vehicles with more space for survivors, but either you're almost done with the game by the time you do, or you don't have enough survivors to fill the spots anyway. Midway through the game, you'll come across your brother Merle, or if Michael Rooker's character knowledge is anything to go off, it might actually be Merrill. He helps you blow up a church and get your crossbow, that I almost never used. I was too busy ignoring all the weapons as soon as I picked up the sledgehammer. Just charge it up and wham! Instant scrambled egg.
Not only is that practical, it is just badass.
I'd recommend this because it's about as close as you'll get in these games to feeling like the Punisher. Even playing as Shane in the next game is just the bargain bin equivalent. But let me tell you something, we're not quite there yet. You also visit this game's version of the CDC, where there's a rumored cure, but obviously it's all bullshit.
Why don't you just piss in my ear and tell me it's raining too?
Funny how this game is seemingly tied to the show, but Daryl neglected to mention finding out that there's no cure previously to save them all some fucking time. Every level feels about the same. There's not enough variety to make it interesting at any point. Go here, find a survivor, move along. It's more shallow than a puddle. In the final mission, after going out of your way to save more survivors, they completely vanish and magically reappear in a helicopter. But then the game decides to pretend to be fun for the last 30 seconds by putting you in a turret sequence. And you don't even get to fly off into the sunset after that. Mel stops you, telling you the pilot was bitten, and sends your companions away to enjoy a brief scenic nosedive when the pilot turns. And you both drive away into the unknown.
It's supposed to make you feel better. Don't.
What was the point of it all? Why would you even have survivors that you intend for us to help? If you're going to turn around in the end and go, oh, sorry about that, they aren't even in the show, and none of this really helps the main characters get to that point, so everyone else dies. The end. But you know what? What else should I expect from the company that developed Kinect Star Wars literally the year prior to this?
Damn tragedy. That's what this is.
But I digress. I like Daryl. He's one of the best characters in the show. We all know this. Getting to play from his perspective beforehand is an appealing idea, and it should be really cool. But it just ends up feeling about as meaningless as shooting a walker in the foot. What isn't meaningless, though, are your choices in The Walking Dead Destinies. What is meaningless, though? It's literally every other fucking thing about that game. As if it wasn't bad enough to drop the worst game in 2023 with Skull Island Rise of Kong, Game Mill said,
You wanna see me do it again?
and dropped this monstrosity. The idea of a choose-your-own-adventure style Walking Dead game based on the series itself where you could completely change the story if you wanted to, has a lot of potential, and for a fan of the show, would actually be a great concept. Unfortunately, all the greatness didn't make it past the concept phase.
Gonna be PP Pan City here real soon.
The characters in this game look like they were modeled from memory by someone who only saw the show once on a broken TV. Unfortunately, 99% of the cutscenes in the game are actually just PowerPoint presentations, leading to stills of each character looking constipated or like they're going through a reckoning right there on screen.
You scare the shit out of me.
Watching this all play out just feels like someone watched way too many Asylum mockbusters and thought, hey, we can do this with games too, right? A few people came back to voice the characters. Irone Singleton as T-Dog, Sarah Wayne Callies as Laurie, Emily Kinney as Beth, Marquis Moore as Andrew, Madison Lynch as Sophia, and Chandler Riggs as... no, wait a minute. He's too old to sound like young Carl now, so they had him voice act this goon instead.
Honestly, I like things better now than before.
Really, Carl? Really? Have you looked at this game? Are you sure about that? Maybe take the hair out of your eyes and have a better look. Oh, I'm sorry? Hell, maybe all these guards only have one eye too. Would explain why they have great difficulty seeing me in these ankle-high bushes that appear to be growing on a fucking metal railing. Most of the voice acting is so shallow and effortless, it's like they did one take of every line and just said, yeah, close enough.
So, park's full of walkers. That's it!
Just like the last game, they couldn't figure out that you need more than 2 different lines for interacting with things and getting grabbed.
Get away from me! Get away from me!
Can't do that. Can't do that.
I'm amazed the credits weren't just Control-C, Control-V. In fact, the absence of any alternative lines in these moments led to this game's grapple mechanic being even more irritating than the first game. And let me tell you something. I only had to deal with it on easy and medium. The jump was like going from stepping off a curb to bungee jumping. I feel like in hard mode, you may as well just get a new keyboard because either the QuickTime key's dying or you are. But alloweth me bid thee something else. You can always just use your naive, pointless, crappy teammates as bait and watch Daryl get helplessly swarmed but somehow survive unscathed as you lob him and his entourage with stun grenades. Wild that they'll swarm and play whack-a-daryl with him, but with me, they're like Rose from Titanic.
I'll never let go.
And if they drain your health all the way, your character crashes out screaming as if they're not in the middle of a zombie-infested hellscape, and even becomes Trevor from GTA 5 in that everything becomes a red haze, including the enemies as you gain the ability to remove whatever remaining features they have above the neck in one hit, or miles from Outlast in that you gain the ability to run away like a little bitch as fast as possible.
Well, this must really suck for you guys.
You can clip through walls. Progressing through the game with a crowd nearby kills them all with a collective. This also happens when you reload checkpoints due to a soft lock. Hell, sometimes enemies will just kill you during a loading screen.
Let me go! Need a healer? No, no, no!
There's zombies that scream like a fucking dinner bell. Let me something tell you, unless a screaming zombie sounds like this, it ain't right, brother. There are Sudoku bomber zombies that can and will skip your second chances. Not that it's unrealistic, Carol in all fairness should be a chunky puddle of red after that. Oh, sorry, no, the second chance is here after all. He's just running a little late. And let me tell you about the story. In the same way as Telltale, your choices matter. Only they don't. Kind of like Telltale, actually, now that I think about it. They only really added multiple different endings in the second game. The big difference for those games is that you could be a saint or a taint to whoever you wanted, and that at least changed some outcomes. And because of that dynamic, you'll end the game feeling feelings and trying to get certain characters to the finish line and others to a game over. Fuck you, Bonnie. Somehow here though, even coming into the game, knowing all the characters from the show and caring about certain characters preemptively, the care for them became as non-existent as the effort that went into making it. Deaths were meaningless, as the only time you interact with the other characters is between levels, and they only say one thing to you.
Give me a break.
I must have left my mic on while I was playing, because that's exactly what I was saying the whole time. My first playthrough, I decided to do everything the opposite to the show to see what would happen. Permit me to enlighten you to some stuff. T-Dog gets disrespected. Help the racist redneck at the start of the game. He pickpockets your cuffs and leaves him to die while you're not looking. Does the group immediately go back outside and check why he isn't following us? No.
Really?
Well, guess you can't blame him for becoming the new Merle then. If you leave the governor's daughter alone, she immediately dies to T-Dog instead, but the governor joins the group and T-Dog gets clowned on again, losing his eye. Not long after that, he loses control and his home, takes out Glenn, and then gets chopped into little pieces. It's hilarious how wildly out of character it all is. Now, if you were to retain some fangs I was requesting to bequeath onto you, it would seem like many liberties were taken to make the game's story easier to condense into a boring, shitty version of the original. Like absolving certain characters and events, leading to new choices. Like having to choose between saving Maggie or medical supplies because they left out this snack pack, and I saved Maggie because I didn't know what the opposite of a non-existent event was, and then seconds later, Carl's dead and buried. And then seconds after that, you're back on the farm with nice, peaceful, happy music playing. What does the game want me to feel? Now, if I were to request to inform you of some information relevant to the subject, choosing Shane is the more interesting playthrough. Sorry, Rick, we've been there and done that already.
Rick, it ain't like it was before!
He kills Rick with enough ammo to drop a small army. There's also a fight against Andrew that happens regardless of whether you let him stay or go. Don't worry, if you didn't see that coming, you get to experience the same lack of awareness during the fight itself with about as much visibility as a blackout rave with too many smoke machines. At least I didn't have to see most of that fight though. When you put a boss fight with a tank in broad daylight and let me kill it with a gun, I have to see it. That burns into my brain. That shit's a core memory now, and not for the right reasons. To be fair though, the most fun part about this one was just lining up its attacks to see it friendly fire and miss its teammates.
I am about 50% more into you now.
If you play as Rick and follow the story for the most part, everything happens as normal, except of course, I let Andrew stay this time because I accidentally kicked him out in my opposite playthrough because I forgot who he was. So imagine my surprise when Carol dies and Laurie survives, proving that in the show Laurie was just being weak and Padme away the will to live. I thought this was a canon event! In conclusion, Survival Instincts was the shot to put the series down, and Destinies was the double tap shot to keep it down. At least until Destinies 2 rolls around, because the bullet ricocheted and missed the brain, so we get to see the alternative timeline where Negan's a good guy, and has a polyamorous relationship with Rick and Maggie, and gets his brain inverted by Invincible instead. Wait a minute, gamer, what the hell did you just write down? Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, then feel free to press the buttons to keep you up to date with my future content and support my channel. That's how YouTube knows my stuff is tolerable after all, so I'd appreciate it. More videos coming soon.